The Nikon D750 for over 5 years has been the workhorse to many photographers and is still going strong. Today I'll be checking out the D750's video capabilities and ways to use it to spice up your videos. To add more value to your videos, you can introduce segues, quick montages or cool intros to give your productions anticipation, time to breathe, and importantly, keep your audience's interest and attention. I absolutely love my Nikon D750 and I've actually had it now for about 3 years. I actually purchased it as a backup camera to my then Nikon D810. After losing my Nikon D800 in an accident in Japan in 2017, and then wandering around for the last 2 days of my trip like Luke Skywalker without his lightsaber, I then realized I needed a backup camera when I was traveling. And that's what inspired me to buy the Nikon D750. And I haven't regretted it one bit. But the D750 doesn't just sit idle in my camera bag while I'm using my current Nikon D850. I normally have it with another lens like the 80-400mm, so I can grab some quick shots if I need a longer focal length. But primarily what I'm using it for at the moment is cinematic B-roll. To achieve nice, smooth, silky B-roll, I actually like to use the Nikon 50mm f1.8G lens. When combined, it makes a good lightweight combo and I can use it handheld, and the lens gives me really good shallow depth of field shots. Let's have a look at the video settings that I like to use on the D750. Okay, so here we are around the back of the camera. Let's just navigate down to where it's got the little video camera icon. Just scroll on across to begin with, and we're gonna start off with frame size and frame rate. Now, the Nikon D750 has the capability of full HD at 60 frames. So that's what I'm going to be using for this nice, silky, smooth B-roll. So let's just set it to that, 1920 by 1080 at 60p. Now the other thing I like to do also, just come on through here to the ISO settings. So what I do is I set the auto sensitivity for the ISO up to auto. So let's put that to on. And then I have my minimum ISO set at 100. That's as low as what I can go with this one. And then I set my maximum at 6400. I really don't like going any more than 6400 because I have noticed that the video pictures do go a little bit grainy after that ISO. I don't use a gimbal and I don't use autofocus, instead opting to pre-focus my shots manually using back button focus. This is in part due to the D750's autofocus not being that great. I like to use minimal, slow panning and tilting shots using a nice smooth motion, kind of mimicking a slider. The same for when I'm walking following someone. Shooting in aperture priority mode, I set my f-stop to either f1.8 or f2 and let the camera do the rest in terms of exposure. Now once I've got all my shots, I like to import them into my edit software, which is Premiere Pro. Let's have a look and I'll show you exactly what I like to do with it. Okay, so here we are in Adobe Premiere Pro. I've created a project at 1080p at 25 frames per second. So to get that nice, smooth, slow motion, I've just imported a couple of clips as a bit of an example for you. We need to right click on our clips and we need to come down to modify and interpret footage. This is how we're going to get it to play back in nice slow motion. So at the moment you're seeing that it's basically near 60 frames per second. We need to come over to where it says assume this rate at 25 frames per second. We just hit that. So now they should be playing back in slow motion. Now you can see there is this little bit of movement. I'm trying my best to keep it as steady as I can, but you can see there's just a little tad of movement in the play window there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it from about here and I'm just going to take it to a little bit past where it just comes into that foreground where it's a bit out of focus. Just about say there. And then I'm just going to drop it down onto my sequence. And what we need to do just to smooth that out a bit is just come over into effects what we've got to search for is warp stabilizer. So if you just put WAR and there it is, warp stabilizer, click on that, drag it onto your footage. Now what that'll do is it'll go through a process of ironing out all those little kinks and little bits of jerky movement that I was doing with the camera. And it's having a good old think about it. And there he goes, it has finished off. So now as we play that, you can see it's just, my RAM on this computer isn't the best. So you can just see it playing back and it's just ironed out some of those jerky movements. I dare say when I render this will be much better playing. So now what I do is just add a little bit of a crop, come back over into effects, hit crop, and if you just scroll on down to crop, drop that on. And then what you do is come up into effects, scroll down to where it's got crop. And what I do is on the top, I just click 7% or enter 7%. On the top, bottom, 7%, same. And that'll give you that nice little letterbox effect on your vision. So let's just render that out and let's have a look at what it looks like. Rendering. It's great fun, isn't it? Okay, there it is. There's our nice little cinematic type shot where we're coming down through the bush and that nice little bit of out of focus foreground. So this is it at full screen. I've just exported that clip out and you can just see here, I'll just play it back for you now. You've got that nice smooth motion coming through the bush. So gives it that nice cinematic look. For example, here's a little clip I did with my wife at the park behind my house. I put it together using the exact settings and techniques I've just showed you. So what I'd really love to know is, have you ever owned or are you still owning the Nikon D750? What are its good and bad points? I'd really love to know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you next time.